Hello, welcome to our fourth and final video in our Power Users group. Up until this point, I hope you've had a chance to at least start watching some of the first three. Maybe you have found a couple of things that you've tried. I hope some of them were helpful. After all, the point of this particular Power Users group is to try to find ways to take the computer, which you have to use a lot, and sometimes it can be so frustrating. We're looking for ways to try to make it more efficient for you, ways that we can speed up your work or make your work a little bit easier. And I hope that's what you're discovering as we go through this course. Today we're going to look at tools in two areas. Both of them are areas that manage certain parts of your day. And hopefully that will give you just one more perspective on some ways that you can use the computer as a helpful tool and not just something that frustrates you sometimes. So let's get started with our first tool. So what you're looking at on my screen right now is a program called Asana. And that is going to be our demonstration for a group of pieces of software known as project or task management software. And some of these are really about task management, just organizing tasks in a way that you can know what's due today and what's due tomorrow and what's upcoming. Some of them are more about project management and organizing larger projects. Some of them do both. So we're going to look at primarily this example because it does both, so I can illustrate both, but then we will talk about some others. And so I'm going to jump out of the way down here in the corner so you can just focus on the screen, and we can talk about Asana. Asana is the task management software that I have chosen to use personally. And there were a couple of reasons for that. One is because the free version gives me a lot of options. Some task management software programs have a pretty limited free version, and I was hoping to avoid paying for anything. So I was happy that the free version did give me lots of options. The other thing that I was happy about is that CREC has a CREC-wide access to Asana, which makes it easier for me to collaborate on things with other staff members. And I will show you how that can happen and how I've done that in the past. So first, let's just look at how I use this every single day. Every day, every morning, I look and see what is due today and what's going to be coming up in the next few days. This is my task manager right here. And you can see on the side, I've clicked on my task and I have an ongoing list of tasks for when they're due. Some of these stretch out to into next year because I have things that auto renew when it's time to renew certain pieces of software. I have some things that aren't dated, so it keeps track of those things. So the list goes on and on and on. Primarily, I'm focusing on the top portion of the list here. Now, this little pop out on the side, I'm going to close that for just a minute so you can see here's the full screen. I have the due date for each task. I have the project that it's associated with. Sometimes it might be associated with two projects. For this particular part of my task management, I'm not currently using tags, although that's a system that I may want to incorporate more in the future. It is super easy to use this. To add a new task, all I have to do is click the Add Task button. I can give it a name. We're going to call this my fake task. And I can click when do I want it to be due, and I can pick any date in the future. I can choose, let's see, what else can I do with this? My fake task is going to be due February 24th. I could make it a repeating task. And is it going to be weekly or monthly or yearly or periodically? And I can customize that. I can choose a specific time that it's going to be due if I need to do that. So there's a lot that I can do there. I didn't mean to make that pop out yet. I want you to see what I did to make that happen. If I hover over it, it says Details. So if I click Details, that's when I can open this up. It's assigned to me, but I could assign it to someone else if I needed to. I can change my due dates here. I can change which projects it's a part of. So I can make this a part of my daily tasks. I can add descriptions down here. I have ways to put in links to things. I can record a short video where I'm telling myself something. Don't forget to do whatever. I can do an @ and if I type in someone else's email that works for River Street, they will get a notification to come look at this task. So there's a lot of things that I can do here. I can have subtasks. So maybe the big task is going to be a broad topic, and then under that there's going to be 4 subtasks. And each of those subtasks can be assigned to different people. The comment section allows me to leave comments for myself. It also allows us, if I'm doing a group project, just to write comments back and forth. Have you been able to do this? What about this? I can attach things to it. I can add collaborators down here if I need to. If I've assigned a task to someone else and I don't have anything else to do with it, it's up to them now. I can even leave the task, but it's still in their task list and they can continue to work on it. There's so many things. It's a powerful tool. So I'm not going to get into all of it. Some of those things are things that you would have to pay to use, but all the things that I'm really showing you so far are just free. And that's what I like about it. And if you want to learn more about this, you will certainly have plenty of links in the handout, and you can certainly check with me. I will be happy to show you more, but I'm just giving you the overview here. This is not a deep dive into Asana as a task manager. But trust me, this keeps me on track all the time because I know exactly what to do. Now, what really is helpful for me is if I can add things down here that I'm going to use later. So if I'm going to have, let's say I've got a meeting coming up on Tuesday. Right now, I don't have anything there. But let's say I did need something there. Maybe there's something I want to remember to talk about at that meeting. This is where I'm going to make that note. Because on Tuesday morning, I'm going to check, what do I have due today? Oh, I've got a meeting coming up at 9. I'm going to check to see, do I have anything over here that I need to remember to talk about in that meeting? Any handouts that I need to bring to that meeting? So this is a great place just to organize your thoughts all around the task that you are doing. Like I said, it's easy to add a task just by clicking the big blue Add Task button. Now, let me show you something that is really awesome. This is what makes this so efficient for me. When I am in my email, and let's say right here, let's say Kevin wants to have a meeting with me, or we need to talk about something later and I need to follow up. See these 3 red dots? That's Asana. And I can just say, create an Asana task. And it will take the subject of his email. Let me log in again. And it's fine that you see this because you can see how easy it is to continue doing this. And I would say it makes me log in maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks, just to make sure that, it stays secure. It will take whatever the email subject line is and make it the task name. I usually change that to, I'm going to meet with Kevin, and I'm going to do that at 10 a.m. It's assigned to me. The due date is going to be next Friday. It's going to be a part of my daily task because I don't need to divide it into anything more as a sub point. I can add stuff here if I want, but here's what's cool. This little checkbox right here, the whole email is now added as a comment. So I create that task. It will ask me, do you want to go see it over there in Asana? And it's like, no, I'm good. I trust you. I know it's there. And sure enough, when I go into Asana, where's my meet with Kevin? Right here at 10 a.m. February the 11th, daily task. And you can see this one speech bubble. That means there's one comment. So that's how I know, oh, I left something there, and it is the text of his email. So if there was a link to a Zoom meeting, that would be right there in the email. If I just need to see the email because it's going to remind me something that I need to talk about with him later, that's the beauty of Asana. It is connected to my email. What makes this even cooler, you say? Well, let's take a look. If I go to my Google Calendar, my Asana tasks are also linked to my calendar. Everything in this sort of magenta color, that's an Asana task that automatically is also posted to my calendar. So if I start off the day not by looking at my task list, if I'm a person that likes to start my day looking at my calendar, here's all the things that I have to do that are a part of my task list. so that I know that they're fitting into my day. I don't schedule other things on top of things. I can keep things well organized. So that is the beauty of a task manager, and especially of one like Asana that integrates so nicely with our email and with our Google Calendar. So that's a very nice feature. But let's look at some other features of Asana, because here I am really just looking at a task list organized by date. Now, I also have task lists that are organized in other ways. So let's say I want to look at my tip of the week ideas. Here's a task list, but nothing has a due date. So really it's not a task list. This is just a list for me. These are all of my ideas for tip of the week ideas. I keep them stored here, and when I do decide that this is the one I'm going to use next Friday, then I just date it for next Friday. Here I do use the tagging system, different colored tags, so that I can make sure that I don't suddenly do 5 Google Docs tasks in a row. I can kind of keep them mixed up so that it's a variety of different tasks going on at one time. And so I have this long list of things waiting to be sent out. These are my ideas. So I can keep just a list that doesn't have to be dated. But there's also other things I can do. Let's take a look at, let's see, let me find the right list. My power users, because this is the course we're taking right now. Here is the exact same thing, but viewed in a different way. If I come up here and look at it as a list, it is just that, a list. It's undated, and it's divided up into sections. So instead of just adding a task, I also added sections. And so there was a section for each of the 4 weeks, and then underneath that, the things we wanted to talk about. And here we are talking about task managers. But for this kind of organization, I love to look at it here, because when I started, I just had a list of things that I wanted to talk about, and then I was able to drag them around. Do I want this over here? No, I want it here. I want to talk about clipboard managers first. Nope, I decided to talk about text expanders first. You can see that you can just drag things around. Now, this is called the Kanban method of organization. It is based on dragging these cards from place to place, and it is based on a structure of things to do, things that you are doing, and things that are done. And so if you create a blank board, it will often start with blanks and those things as column headings, but you can change your column headings to be anything you want them to be. So that's what this offers you, is the ability to just drag things around, move things the way you want. Once you're finally settled and this is how I want it to be, then done. We'll stick with that. Now I can get ready to record my video. Each of these items, if I choose, when I click on it, I have the same pop-up to make notes to myself, to assign due dates, to share it with other people. I can add information in the description comments down here. So I have all the same features. I'm just looking at it differently, and now I have the option of just dragging things around. So that's also a cool feature of Asana and of a task manager. Now, I promised you I would talk about ways to collaborate. The person that I've collaborated with here is Laura. And in the past, often in the beginning of a school year, actually in the summer, when I set up a generic professional development calendar, here are things that I'm going to work on for the year, and I'm starting to put my ideas together, much like you would have seen here in the Power Users thing. I will share that with her. And the reason I have done that in the past is because if I really want to set aside a Wednesday afternoon early in the year to make a presentation for some new piece of software that all the staff needs to know about, I want her to know that I want a date sometime in September, and these are the things I'm going to talk about. And since she also has been the manager of our professional development for quite some time, I want her to know what online courses I'm going to do. I want her to know what other Wednesday afternoons I want set aside for me. So we've done that in the past, and that lets us talk back and forth. We can schedule things, we can add comments, I can show her samples, I can add pictures to my descriptions. I can do whatever I need to do to make it more meaningful to her, to give her more information. She can give me the feedback that I need to help me with scheduling and planning. So if you are working on a project with someone else here at school, whether it's a group of administrators, a group of office staff, teachers in B Wing, whatever it might be, you and your behavior analyst and your speech person, you can use this in a collaborative way if you choose, or you can just use it as a task manager for yourself. So that is Asana. Asana is not the only tool that does this. Like I said, I picked it because the free version was pretty expansive and because since Krek has a license, that's what allows me to connect it to my email and my Google Calendar and so forth. But there are others. Trello is a very popular one, and Trello has the same activities. You can do it in a list, you can do it in a board style. Trello sort of features the Kanban board style method, but it does allow you to add collaborators, you can connect it to your calendar, you can tag it, you can assign projects. Very similar to Asana. So you might want to take a look at Trello as well. You might enjoy that one more. Todoist is also a very popular one. And I should say, since this picture of the phone is here, that Asana and Trello all have free phone apps. So I can look at my phone before I even leave home in the morning and know what's on my task list for the day. In fact, I even get a pop-up message that tells me you have these 3 tasks due today. So the phone really works well with all of these management software options. So that's 3 different ways to look at it: Asana, Trello, and Todoist. Now I want to show you a 4th task manager. And this is not going to broaden itself into a big project manager. But if you don't need that kind of tool, if you would just like something that kind of helps you keep track of due dates for things, what's due today, what's due later, a place where you can make a few notes, then you don't need all of this maybe. Not that you couldn't use just the list feature and ignore the rest. Feel free to do that. But maybe you want something even less complex than that. You can always go right into any of our Google things, our Google Docs, your Google Calendar, and over on the right-hand side, the little blue check mark is Google's Task Manager. And it is also pretty straightforward. Add a task, task 1. And you can add details if you want. You can set a date and time if you want. You can make it repeating if you want. You can add subtask. And when you're all set, now you've got a task 1. And now I can add a task 2. And I can just keep creating tasks. And as long as I put some sort of due date on there, so let's say that's going to be due on Monday, it's going to show me that's due February the 8th. And I can click on it, and in the details, it'll tell me what needs to be done. That's great. It's a very simple, straightforward task manager, but it does connect to your Google Drive. So as you're working on things in Google and you think of things, you can put them over there. It is also connected to your Google Calendar. So when you open it up, you're going to have the same task there. You can take these things, and if you come over here to the side to my calendars and click on tasks, you will see that it also posts to your calendar. Oop, didn't mean to start that. But that update staff website, that's a task that I've set before. So you can see that this will start to feed over. This one is not there yet. It'll take a few seconds for that to get to February the 8th, but it will show up there. And so you can have a very simple, straightforward task manager just working through your Google Drive, your Google Docs, your Google Calendar. This is not going to link directly to your email. So that's the one weakness there. You can't send something directly from email into Google Tasks. All right. That's really what I wanted to talk about with task managers and project managers. This is a great tool if you just sort of need to keep yourself on task. I did want to show you one other thing that's kind of related to this. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention using mind mapping. This is really just for organizing projects in a visual way. So I'm going to come over here and show you how I can use it to organize the Power Users class. This is really just organizing it in this very visual manner. And you're just mind mapping. You're just drawing out a map of your thoughts and you're moving things around. Like right now we're talking about mind mapping, but initially I thought of mind mapping as a shortcut thing, but I decided no, I don't want it to be a shortcut. I want it to be down here with my task manager stuff. So I'm just going to drop it right in there. And now it's a part of that. And so you can easily reorder things. You can put things in the order that you want them to be in. We talked about Trello first, so I'll pull that up there. So you can see how easy it is. If I wanted to like do a subtask, I can just hit that and start typing. And I've got a subtask out here, and then I could add another one. Mind mapping is a very quick and easy way just to visually organize your thoughts. So if you are a visual person, and you need to organize a set of training activities or some lesson plans, or you're mapping out how you want to do a project, mind mapping can also do that in a similar way as dragging those cards around inside Asana. But if you don't want to use Asana and you like this look more, you can do this. Now, this is a site called Whimsical. It has a free version. That's what I'm looking at now. There are limits to the free version. You can see down here in the corner, the free version lets me create up to 1,000 items, and then it's going to shut me off. Well, I'm not ever going to have a project with 1,000 items, I don't think. So this is going to be just fine for me. I don't use this mind mapping a lot. I tend to rely more on those cards, but I've certainly come here for some things. So just one more way to sort of outline and design a project visually as you think about it. All right, that is using a project/task management piece of software to help you organize your to-do list, to help you organize your projects, to help you collaborate with others on projects and activities. So that is our first piece of management software to talk about today. Now let's move on to number 2. Now, of all the things in the videos that I've been saying, oh, you should try this, you should try that, these are great, those were accurate. You should try those. I think there are some great tools. Right now, we're going to look at the final tool, and this is not one that I'm going to say you should try. I'm going to say just do it. This is a thing you need to do, and that is use a password manager. That's the last piece of your technological life that you need to manage. And I'm going to guarantee every one of us, including me, needs to do a better job of it. Right now, it is estimated that the average adult person in America, 18 years of age and older, has well over 100 online accounts that require a password. I know it seems like, yeah, no, it couldn't be. I couldn't have that many. But you do. Think about it. Everything you might have an account for. You've got your work email, your personal email, your personal Google account, your work Google account. You may have you've got Munis if you're working here. Do you have an Asana account yet? Have you set up an Evernote account? Do you have Netflix, Disney Plus? Do you have online access to your bank? Do you pay bills online? If so, that might be 20 or 30 or 40 things a month, depending on how many different bills you've got going on. There are so many different accounts. Whether I have more than 100, I don't know. I don't count them. But I would guess yes. Here's the problem. When they do surveys, they know that 53% of adult Americans rely entirely on their memory to remember all of those passwords. Other people have some strategies. There are some people using password managers. There are some people making notes in a notebook, keeping a list in their wallet, whatever. Anything that helps, that's fine. But 53% are trying to remember over 100 passwords in their head all the time? I can't do that, and I'm sure most people can't, which is why 76% of adult Americans admit to using the same password for every account. That's 100 different accounts, same password. So all it takes is one of those accounts to be hacked, and that means all of your accounts have now been hacked. Okay, think about that. If somebody breaks into your, I don't know, let's say your Netflix account and gets your email and the password that goes with it, and you use your email and your password to sign into Venmo, now they're paying themselves from your Venmo account, or they're logging into your bank account, or they're stealing your Disney Plus account, whatever. You don't want that to happen to you. So use a password manager. Now, let me show you a couple of things, but I'm not going to teach you how to use a password manager. Too complicated. I want to show you really quickly how it works. I'm going to leave you some links. That's all we're going to do in this section. This is going to be our shortest section, even though it's super important. So let me get out of the way and show you a couple of things. So you think you don't have to worry about this because you think your stuff is safe? Well, let's just find out. I'm going to use my work email right here. This is the thing I use at work every day. And I know that password has been breached 9 times. 9 different companies that have that email account associated with an access has been breached. So if I use the same password over and over and over, it only took one of those to find it. And then they can use this email and that password to log into 8 other sites. Plus, they can log into my email. And remember, since some of our passwords overlap here, that means they're also getting into my CREC Google account and other things associated with CREC. So even what you might think is the most secure, not that secure. But maybe you think, hey, no, I don't use like one of those 4-letter passwords. I got a really good password. Well, here's one that I like to use a lot, or at least I used to. And it would take a computer just 42 minutes to crack that password. That's not a very secure password. You can do better. And a password manager will help you do better. So what does a password manager do? A password manager allows me to store all of my passwords in one document, a place that is stored on the web. I won't go into details. You can read about it if you want, about how these password manager sites protect themselves from being hacked. But you can see I've got 373 passwords stored in my password manager. So that's a combination of my personal as well as passwords that I use for professional use. So you can see my Asana is right there at the top of the list. Now, I'm not going to show you any of my passwords, so I'm not going to dig too deeply into this, but all I have to say is they're all being stored here. I can also save notes. I can store my credit card information here. For documents, I have copies of my driver's license and my passports stored in here. This is one of the most secure places you can put data on the web. Does that mean it's 100% safe? No, nothing is 100% safe. But this is one of the best. And so that's why you rely on this. And then it helps you get into other places. So the way that works, I'm going to pop this out of the way. I'm going to open up a website that I would need to log into over here. Now, I could try to remember my password for this site, but I don't. 1Password is remembering that for me. And that way I can put in a long, complicated password. It can be like 14 digits long or 26 digits long, and it can be one of those random XWZ, Zippo 249X. It can be anything that I want it to be because I don't have to remember it. 1Password is remembering it for me. So when I come here and I click, that little icon, the little lock there, where you would slide the key into the lock, pops open, that lets me know that 1Password is managing it, and I can log in to School Messenger as me. And it automatically puts in the password. And then I can sign in. So the only password that I have to remember is the fairly long, like 17 combination, uppercase, lowercase, digits, number, symbols password that gets me into 1Password. Because if I haven't used it for a certain amount of time, whether that's 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, then this won't work. If I click here, it will say open 1Password, and I'll put in that 1Password, and then I have access to all of my passwords just by clicking in the login frame. So it works really easily. And since 1Password is web-based, I am linked. This is working on my computer here. It's working on my computer at home. It's working on my laptop at home. It's working at all of those places. I could even add it to my phone if I wanted to. I haven't taken that step yet, but I will. This is something you will have to pay for. There is no free version of 1Password if that's what you choose. 1Password is $36 a year for you to use as an individual. If you want to buy a family account, which allows you to, like, say, take your Netflix password and share it with all your family members so that they can also log on from their devices without having to know the password. But then it also lets you store some items privately that's just for you because you wouldn't want them to have those passwords. It also lets them have private storage of passwords that they don't share with you. So to do the whole family situation, that's $60 a year. The other company other than 1Password that I would most highly recommend is one called LastPass. LastPass actually does have a free version if you want to just remember a limited number of passwords. If you want the full individual account, it's $36. If you want the family plan, theirs is only $48 per year. In the handout, there will be a number of links for how to use those password management pieces of software if you choose, and those are not the only ones. You will find reviews online for other password managers. They all work pretty similarly. They all have a pretty outstanding record for security, better than even the banks and the insurance companies and so forth, because that's their job. That's all they do is store passwords, and they do it really well. So, of all the other things that we've talked about that you should do, this is the one. Just do it. Get yourself a password manager. Otherwise, it is too much work for you to keep track of all the things that you need to remember. That wraps up this video, and it wraps up our course on power users. Hopefully, you've learned something in these 4 videos that will help you feel a bit more like a power user, and that you're able to use your computer to do your work a little bit faster, more efficiently, more effectively. At least that's my hope. If you have questions about anything in any of the 4 videos, please get in touch with me. I will be happy to answer your questions. I will be happy to either teach you how to use these pieces of software if I have any experience with them, or if you choose to use one of the ones that I haven't used, I will be happy to try to learn something about it and still help you, or give you lots of resources from other people who have used it and can give you some guidance on that. Also, keep an eye out in your email. Since you've been a part of this Power Users group, you will get a follow-up about the Power Users group that's not necessarily just about the Power Users course, but you may benefit from just being a part of the group. So keep your eyes open for that as well. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I have a great time doing this. I have a great time helping people use their computer a little bit better. So feel free to reach out with any questions. Thank you.